I was in this one area called Rio Sarco, and in English that translates to like the Clearwater River. Um, so I was in this area, and I was there for 4 changes, so for like roughly 6 months, right? A little bit less than that, but I loved that area. I think it was my favorite area in my entire mission. I just loved it. I loved the people. The ward when I first got there was like super did not like the missionaries because the missionaries had not been very like dedicated. They hadn't been very devoted or worked very hard, so they had lost all the trust of the members. So when I first got there, we had to work super hard to like gain the trust of the members, to get them to like us, to get them to give us referrals. So my companion and I, my first companion was very, very difficult. He did not want to work at all. So that was a very hard change. But then my favorite companion, Elder Hammond, who I talked about earlier, I mentioned him earlier, he came into the area, and we just started working like crazy. And we just were really trying to follow the Spirit. We were both super young in the mission. It was my third change, I think his fourth or fifth or something like that. So we were just super, super young in the mission and just trying to, do missionary work the best that we could with like what we knew how to do. So one day we were looking in the recent convert list, and we found a kid who was a recent convert, and he like wasn't going to church because there was like a picture of him, and I was like, I've never seen this kid. So we get his address from like the book of converts, and so we go over, and he was home. So we got in, and we talked to him. We're like, hey, like we've missed you, man. Like we don't know you, but it's sad that you're not coming to church. Like, is there anything we can do to help, or have you not been able to go because of transportation or something? Because he lived in an area that was like kind of apart from where the church was. There was like the main Rio Sarco, and there was this place called Santa Ana Norte, which is like North Santa Ana. And it was really, it was pretty close to Rio Sarco, but on foot, it was probably like, like a 15, 20-minute walk. So sometimes it was like, a lot of members would just make the walk, but some of them, if they got up late, they were like, oh, well, I'm just not going to go, So he was like, yeah, I'm just kind of struggling with like transportation. And then on top of that, like none of my family like really wants to go. So we're like, okay, well, what if we talk to your family? So we rescheduled an appointment for when his family was there, and we go over and we start talking with them. And his mom and his dad, they were kind of standoffish. Super, super nice, but just like kind of like, oh, well, we, are doing what we want to do, so I think we're happy. And as we kept going over, because they would keep inviting us over, they liked us a lot, like as people. As we kept going over, we taught and met a lot more with the dad. The wife was gone working a lot, so it was really hard to meet with her. But we met with the dad a lot, and he started to like read the Book of Mormon. He started to do it on his own. So one day he just like told his wife, he's like, look, I really like this Book of Mormon. Like it just feels really good. And she, even though she wasn't like religious, she was just like the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, and he was just kind of like, well, like I feel like God should be able to reveal more scripture. Anyway, one day she just finally picked up the Book of Mormon. I looked her in the eyes when we were teaching her one time, and it was super awesome because we had like some members come over that were like their neighbors down the street that they just loved. They thought they were the greatest people. So we brought them over, and they were like bearing testimony of how powerful the church was. And so, just because that was to kind of give a background on that, those neighbors down the street, he was, I think, the elders quorum president. Oh no, he was the second counselor in the bishopric, and his wife was not a member. So we taught her and we baptized her, and I think now they're sealed in the temple. But she was able to come over and just like testify of the same thing that this lady was struggling with. So it was a huge testimony builder to me of the power of working with members, like early on in my mission. And then we just had this super powerful lesson. I remember the night just like vividly, because as we left, my companion and I were just like jumping in the street for joy and just like, yes, it was awesome. It's our last appointment of the day. And I remember looking her in the eyes, and both my companion and I kind of said the same thing. We were just super on the same page that lesson. And we were just like, look, we love you so much as a person. Like, you are one of the greatest people ever. She was just like a mom. She was constantly calling us, just like asking us how we were. And I mean, she was just so awesome. We both looked her in the eyes and we were like, look, if you are going to get a testimony of this, it's because you're going to do it of your own initiative. It's like, we've invited you to read the Book of Mormon. We've invited you to go to church. We've invited you to do this and that. And you really haven't done any of it. And even if you were to do it, I don't think you would gain a testimony, because we're the ones kind of pushing you. You know, we're the ones really inviting you, because we know how much, you know, how good of an experience this is, right? And so she goes, you know what, elders, I haven't been fair. I haven't done my part. So I'm going to do it, and I'll let you know how it goes. So she took the Book of Mormon, and she started reading it with a prayer, and then she finished with a prayer. And I think she read all the way through the end of 2nd Nephi in a day. And the next time we came, she was just like on fire. I mean, it was a night and day difference. And it was such a spiritual experience, because it was the first time in my mission, you know, everyone has those experiences in their mission, but it was the first time in my mission that really happened. That someone was so anti in terms of like the church. She really loved us, but she was super anti in terms of the gospel. She did not want to believe it. She did not want to be a part of it. She wanted to go out and be able to drink with her girlfriends and do all this stuff. And then she just lit on fire, and she just started like sharing the gospel with anybody that she could. She would share the gospel with her coworkers. They'd ask her why she wouldn't drink, and she would say, I'm Mormon, and I'm proud of it. And she would just, you know, kind of preach the gospel better than any missionary. I don't know, it was so awesome. And the husband was always really strong, but she kind of just caught fire. And she was kind of the dominant one in their relationship. So the moment she caught fire, all the kids were going to church. All the kids were up in Sunday morning at 7 o'clock, and they were at church by 8. And it was awesome. It was just such a wonderful experience, because I really saw the power that, first off, the Book of Mormon has in someone's conversion, but I saw the power that, like, the Spirit really works in someone. Because if you read the Book of Mormon, you're going to feel the Spirit, if you really read it with the intent to know if it's true. And the moment she started reading it, it was game over. The moment she called us and told us that she had started with a prayer, read, and ended with a prayer, like sincerely asking God if it was true, my companion and I looked at each other and we were like, when are we going to baptize him? Like, when are we going to ask him to accept a date? Because, like, she's done for. You know, that was the experience I had in my mission with everyone. The moment they started reading the Book of Mormon with like a sincere desire to know if it was true, those are the ones that got baptized. Some of them read it as like, oh, you know, like, it would be cool to like see if this is true. And some of them came to a realization that it was true, but they wouldn't get baptized. But the ones that really just like had to work for it and sought to know if it was true, those are the ones that were baptized and stayed active in the church and just like had very, very strong, solid testimonies. And it was so cool because she started inviting over members to her house for family home evening, and she started inviting investigators to her house for family home evening, and just inviting all these different people over to share the gospel. And she didn't know how to do family home evening, but she was like, well, I'm going to learn how. So she went and she learned how. She got involved in the church. She got a calling, and she just started really working, and she got on fire. And it was a really cool experience. That was one of my favorite mission stories, you know. Obviously because it's a family, but just because I love them so much. Like, I miss them so much. I still talk to them often. which is fun. It's cool.